Contrary to the most popular belief, a narcissist's life does not end with their collapse. It only changes because their old ways are not working for them anymore. For example, they're not able to charm people anymore. They don't have that kind of strength. They're not able to control people easily. They change their ways by making some desperate moves in their initial stages of collapse to regain control and strength. What are these moves? Let's find out in today's episode. Hi, I am Danish, a psychologist, a trauma therapist, and a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. In today's episode, we are going to talk about 3 desperate moves a collapsed narcissist makes. Number 1, they desperately try to get their glory back. Having collapsed, they have lost it all. But still, they see themselves as a shining star. Or that's what they like to believe. And they try to get that status back. For example, they used to work in a company where they were the CEO, where they were the HR, where they were put on a pedestal. Now that they have collapsed, they can't easily get that supply. So that shame pushes them to find groups, to find offices, to find people, to find communities, to find cultures or organizations where they could potentially get the same kind of respect, where they would be worshipped and seen as an authority. They desperately try to get their good old golden days back, where they were the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end of it all. And they'll dream about it, continuously talk about it, ruminate on it. Their shame will pop up and remind them of how big of a failure they are. They won't be able to stand themselves. That's why they become so agitated, very difficult to deal with. And a lot of them, unfortunately, get successful at restoring that glory to a certain degree. How? By spending money. In today's times, money can get you anything, regardless of age. It can buy you people. It can buy you attention, validation, admiration, adulation, and whatnot. So they join these organizations or they spend a lot of money to get that easily. That's why sometimes I feel, well, there is karma, but maybe they don't face it as quickly as they should. Some narcissists join altruistic organizations, non-profit organizations, or religious organizations wherein they put on an attire of being a kind, compassionate, understanding, caring, and giving person who does the worship, who does the work, who helps others, who fixes world problems without any intention of fixing anything at all. They want nothing but admiration. They want not to be included, but to be seen as superior than the rest. They want to be held in high regard. They want to be seen as godlike. They don't go in to worship God or do God's work. They go in to defeat God in a way, because in reality, they're anti God. They fail to practically get back their glory. They'll go back to the past and talk about how good they used to be, or how amazing they were in that office, or how great they were at their work. Now, we all do it, but you will see a narcissist continuously talking about it and slipping away into deep depression. My grandfather used to do it a lot during his last days. He would talk about his days when he was young and people were so afraid of him, and he would take some kind of pride or supply in those from those memories. Oh, I can't tell you. And then compare that with his current fragile state. I can understand. Now I can't even lift a cup on my own. I don't understand how that happened. The non acceptance of the reality is what leads to their misery. Before I move to number 2, here is a small announcement for you. I have launched a brand new channel on narcissistic abuse, of course, but in Hindi or in Urdu language. If you are a Hindi or Urdu speaker and would like to understand narcissism better in your language, click the link in the description and subscribe right now. Number 2, they obsess over their looks, which means a lot of plastic surgery, a lot of artificial looks, a lot of extreme dieting and self shaming. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people do that. Those who are not narcissists may have traumas, or it's become a trend nowadays. You have to look a certain way to be more beautiful, to be accepted in the society. So, this is a problem that we'll talk about some other time. But I'm talking about obsession. This collapsed narcissist wants to look 10 years younger. He or she wants to be the best. At 50, they want to look 20. So they undergo through major surgeries. This replacement surgery, that replacement surgery, that surgery, which is brand new, experimental, they go through it. It's not bad to improve your looks. You can do it. But I'm talking about that in a narcissist abuse context. Narcissist wants to get supply from how they can change. And you may ask, what do they change for now? Of course, for supply. For example, a male narcissist will target younger females. He or she may be 60, will go after 25 or something to vicariously live through her youth. He creates a delusion for himself through that association. Now that he is with that 25-year-old, he starts to tell himself that he's also 25, or at least sees himself that way. It's crazy, but that's true. That's how he brings his age down. The same thing applies to a woman. She also starts dating younger guys or really rich elite people to get that supply through association. That is what you will also see in a narcissist. So that means when it's not full collapse, it's not the end of their life. They still make moves to keep things going. Number three, they target their grandkids. Once they're done with you, once they know, and they know you see through them, you do not want to do anything with them, they try to become very sweet, very kind, and appear nice to your kids. So your guilt then tells you, why withhold this kind of relationship from my kids? I mean, at least they deserve to have a grandparent. So let me give them that space. It'll be okay. I'll be fine. I'll take care of it. I'll have boundaries. I'll teach my children. And unfortunately, that's when you make a big mistake, because that admiration, that adulation, that validation, grandma, grandpa, you're always seeking them. Oh, that is honey for a narcissist. That is what they want. That was missing in their life. You got them new sources of supply, really innocent. They do not know what they're dealing with. But unfortunately, the same kids experience massive shock as they grow up and they start developing a personality, and they're not all about grandpa, grandma anymore. And the grandfather shows the monster side. The grandmother becomes this bitter woman who is always criticizing, yelling, and screaming. That is when they go through absolute shock. So they abuse you through abusing your kids. That is how they try to cover for their narcissistic permanent collapse. That was number three. Now, you may ask me, what is the actual end then to all of this? Unfortunately, I have to give you this answer, and I only have this answer. It is death. They say, oh, take away all the supply. I say that as well. But yeah, they will suffer. However, they will still stay here. They'll still cause trouble. Only death can solve this matter. That's why it's better for them to die very soon. Not for them, but for others indeed. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.